Call this meeting, the Westland City Council to order. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Tasha Green.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Godbout.
Present.
Councilwoman Green.
Present.
Councilman Herzberg. Pro Tem Londo.
Present.
Councilman McDermott. Here. Councilwoman Rutkowski.
Here.
President Hart.
Here.
A quorum is present.
We'll now open to questions or input on the agenda from the public. This section will allow a person to be recognized only at the beginning of the business meeting to address the council, that are items that are specifically on the business agenda. Questions asked will be answered during the agenda item following a motion and support from the council. Is there anybody on my right? Seeing none. Is there anyone? Oh, yes. On the agenda? Okay. Is there anybody on my left? All right. Seeing none, we'll close input on the agenda. We'll move to the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Councilman Landau, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Are there any changes to the consent calendar? Any changes to the consent calendar? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Council has approved the following consent calendar items. Approval of professional services agreement with Higura Health Incorporated to perform social worker service for the Westland Police Department. Terms of the agreement shall be effective immediately and will be valid through June 30, 2022, and the contractor shall be reimbursed $43 per compensable hour paid by Higura Health to the designated program staff. Approval of contract with Brain Media Technology for management of the Jefferson Barnes Learning Lab in the amount of $43,150. Approval of purchase of a Livescan fingerprinting device for the police department to process prisoners and relay criminal charges to the state of Michigan and FBI based on those fingerprints. Purchased from the sole source, Indemnia Identity and Security USA, amount not to exceed $19,092. Approval of bid for flooring upgrades at fire stations 2, 3, and 4. Administration recommended the lowest competitive response from Nelson Floor Covering, total amount not to exceed $25,498.92. The last item approved on the consent calendar today, adoption of prepared resolution to proclaim November 27, 2021, Small Business Saturday in the city of Westland. Moving to new business. Item 1, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held October 18, 2021.
Motion by Councilman Godbout, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Godbout.
Yes.
Councilwoman Green.
Yes.
Councilman Herzberg.
Yes.
Pro Tem Londo.
Yes.
Councilman McDermott.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rutkowski. President Hart.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business. Item 2, approval of voucher.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Councilman Godbout, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Now move into public comment. Everyone speaking for the council should do so in a civil manner. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, vulgar language, disruptive outbursts, threats, racial slurs, or other conduct that interferes with the orderly business meeting. Personal attacks on council members, the administration, city staff, other speakers, and members of the public will not be tolerated. The clock will start upon the first words of the speaker and will not stop while the speaker is recognized from the floor. It's the speaker's option to ask questions at this time, and the person questioned may choose to respond during the speaker's allotment of time. However, the clock will not be stopped once it is started. Is there anyone on my right? Yes.
I'm having a problem in the neighborhood, and I have been to the police several times. This has been happening all summer. There's a guy that lives in front of his parents' house. He used to live in a truck. Now he lives in a van, and he has a trailer that he pulls behind him. And he is collecting old air conditioner units. And I have watched him myself. He lets the Freon out of them on the front yard. He lets the Freon out. I can't catch him. I got him on camera with the air conditioners and all the stuff that he has and stuff like that. I got pictures, I got camera, I don't have him letting the Freon out. So he's been doing that. I've been to the police. They say, well, he's not doing nothing illegal. So I'm like, okay, well, then I have to take another step. I've called them several times. He leaves his trailer that's unattached from his vehicle. It sits there. And when you're pulling, I live on the corner. So my driveway's back here. Their driveway's here. So when I pull out, his trailer and vehicle are right here. And the other lady that actually pays taxes because she lives in a house, he lives on the street in front of his parents' house. He sleeps out there. He's out there all the time. He's really barely ever in the house. There's things said about him why they don't let him in, but it's hearsay, so I don't want to say that. But it's hard for me to pull out. Well, yesterday I noticed now I have a screw in my tire because he takes all these air conditioning units apart and he lets them go. There's screws, there's grease, there's grime, dirt all over the ground. And like I said, I've called the police several times. I called neighborhood services. I talked to a Chris I've called a Chris. He's a supervisor several times, left messages. I finally called him the one time and he was really arrogant and saying, well, that's not Freon. I said, okay, that's fine if you think it's not Freon. So I took it a further step and I went to a heating and cooling company to see if that's what they're letting out of this air conditioner. I can see him drabbing it and it all going out into the air. So I called the heating and cooling company, and the guy in this city has owned this cooling company for 65 years, and he just retired. He said that is Freon coming out of that air conditioning unit. It's an old air conditioning unit. So it's like R22, I think they call it, that's illegal right now. So I called them. I double-checked with them. I even tried to call Chris's boss. His name is Hassan Saab. Never no phone calls back. So I called the Board of Health, the environmental, and they had me call EAP, which landed me into Chicago. So I'm like, okay, Chicago can't do nothing for me. I'm going to have to call the Michigan one. So when I called the Michigan Eagle, and they just wanted me to write a letter. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous that I can't believe that the city is not helping me. Why do I have to go through all these things?
So your time's up real quick.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Pro Tem Londo get with you as soon as possible, maybe right after this meeting, or maybe if he can leave the dais in a second.
Okay.
Trying to get some more information from you so that we can get you some resolution and give you your contact numbers. And the council all heard it here, so I'm sure we'll all follow up, okay?
I would be very grateful because I keep going to the police and they don't want to do nothing.
Sure. We'll get Council President Pro Tem Londo to come talk to you as soon as possible, okay?
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you for listening.
No problem. Thank you. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes.
My name is Lisa Graham. I've lived in Westland for over 50 years, and I am disgusted by the lack of ethics in this city. A primary example of this is the one-sided attack on our freedom of speech when Council President Hart misconstrues facts as personal attacks. A personal attack involves damaging remarks about someone's intelligence, motivations, or personal choices. Like when Mayor Wild said my husband has waged a one-man war against him. That was not true. Both my husband and I share facts on Move Westland Forward about what Mayor Wild does and what he doesn't do. That's neither personal nor an attack. However, it was a personal attack when Arthur Warren stood here and said he could spot racism when he was speaking about us because we disagreed with him politically. Vic Barrow launched countless personal attacks, including one when he contacted my husband's employer and said he was spreading hate speech. Sorry, that also is not hate speech because facts are not hate speech and they are not personal attacks. It's interesting to note that none of these attacks were called out by the chair, by the mayor, or anyone else on Team Wild. Rich and I started Move Westland Forward as a way to share facts and information about our city. A lot of the information we share is offensive but necessary as we are demanding accountability and addressing problems that we think need to be fixed. As uncomfortable as this is, I have the right to speak about it uninterrupted, and if you are offended by me exercising my First Amendment rights, then you are part of the problem. You should be more concerned about the abuse I speak about. This city has rewarded many that have harassed us for speaking up. The city has appointed people to boards and created lucrative positions for those that have abused us. I am calling for Mayor Wild and all members of the City Council to stop rewarding unethical behavior. I am asking the City of Westland to immediately sever all ties with Arthur Warren due to the recent police report we obtained accusing him of assault and battery. According to the report, Arthur Warren was enraged because he thought someone was of a different political mindset, and he physically assaulted them. Our city, which calls itself a compassionate city, needs to immediately remove Arthur Warren from any positions within Westland. 4 years ago, I asked for this to happen and you did nothing. Actually, that's not true. Something was done. Mayor Wild appointed Arthur Warren to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. Arthur Warren said he was taught to look at people and see racism. How is that diverse or inclusive? It's not. It's offensive, to say the least. It's by continuing to protect and reward abusers, you are putting people at risk, as well as putting the city at risk for legal action. It is time for you to stop shooting the messengers. It's time for you to stop blaming the victims and to stop rewarding abusers. And I am happy to answer any questions you have now instead of you waiting till the end when you lie and make personal attacks on me.
Thank you. That's your time.
Do you have any questions for me? Or would you like to speak with me?
That's your time.
Okay, I asked you a question. Would you like to ask me any questions or speak with me personally like you've done with other people?
Your time is up.
So that's a no.
Your time is up.
Part of the problem.
Is there anyone on my left? Is there anyone on my right? Yes.
Richard Graham from Westland and with Move Westland Forward. Regarding new business, Council President Hart, 2 meetings ago, I asked why no new business. This is the 3rd meeting in a row. Why no new business? Councilman McDermott, do you think this is acceptable to have no new business and to spend about 20 minutes in the last 3 meetings on the consent calendar and new business? Is this what you signed up for, Councilman McDermott? Love to hear a response to that. Good luck to all the candidates tomorrow running for council and mayor. Anybody know why Mayor Wild hasn't been here since August, except for 10 to 15 minutes? Deputy Mayor Reddy isn't here today. Why is nobody here except for, well, not even Steve's Chief Finance Officer, he left. Nobody here. I guess that's how you run the city. Regarding Mr. Warren and the police report filed, obviously my wife talked greatly about that, and I'll ask some questions over the next couple of minutes. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know exactly what I'm talking about and the event that occurred at Mayor Wild's primary party and the police report alleging assault and battery of a woman. Councilwoman Rutkowski, do you approve of this? Through the chair, Councilwoman Rutkowski, do you approve of this? Mr. Warren's police report, the police report on Mr. Warren regarding assault and battery. What do you think should be done? You'll address them at comments? Okay, through the chair to Council President Hart and President Pro Tem Landau. What do you know about the situation? You don't know nothing? Okay, so Council Pro Tem Michael Landau, you're indicating you know nothing about this situation. So you said no. Okay, so you said no. What?
You're wasting your time.
I'm not wasting my time. I'm doing exactly. I'm glad you said you know nothing about that, because I don't believe that's the case at all.
I don't know anything about it.
Nothing about it. Great. Wonderful. Anybody else I should ask? No, that's fine. I think there won't be much of a response. I will keep coming back to meeting after meeting, asking about Mr. Warren and the police report regarding him and the alleged assault and battery on a woman, and see what Team Wild does about it. It's going to be fun doing that over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone else on my right? All right, we'll close citizens' comments and we'll move to comments from the administration. I see there's no representation of the administration today, so anything from the attorney's office today?
I would just comment that with regards to any police report, council's not involved specifically with those. You don't get copies of them. I know this particular one, I happen to be looking at it now, was posted, or at least portions of it was posted on social media. But the legal process will take care of itself. So that's really what council knows about this at this point. You guys don't get any specific reports on these things. Thank you.
All right, we'll move to, if any council members had any comment, otherwise for the clerk, we were going to go ahead and entertain maybe going ahead and letting the clerk get to work. Any council members have comments? Right. Councilman Green?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the residents who came out tonight. And as someone from our community stated, there is a big election tomorrow. Please exercise your vote. If you have not already voted or you have not completed an absentee ballot, please visit Westland City Hall tomorrow. The polls open at 7 a.m. They are open until 8 p.m. If you are not currently registered to vote, you can register to vote at Westland City Hall tomorrow and fill out an absentee ballot. Or you can, of course, vote at the polls. Relative to the statements tonight regarding Arthur Warren, as our city attorney stated, there is a legal process that must take place. But from an integrity and ethical standpoint, the city of Westland has a responsibility to investigate complaints, police reports, etc., alleging any type of criminal activity or violations of one's civil rights, especially when it has been alleged against a city commissioner who sits on several commissions that the mayor appointed him to. And so while the actual facts of what has been alleged has not been confirmed, a responsible municipality, knowing that we have appointed a city commissioner that could potentially put us at risk for legal action, especially a commissioner that multiple residents have expressed grave concerns about his actions over at least the last 5 years that I've been involved in Westland politics. To do nothing is completely irresponsible, and it is an injustice to the citizens of Westland. So regardless of what the ultimate outcome is, to just look away or turn a blind eye yet again with those type of actions having been alleged against a city commissioner is completely irresponsible if our city chooses to take that position once again. Thank you, and have a good night.
Any other comments? Councilwoman Rutkowski, let me just get your mic on. There you are.
Thank you. So to respond to the question that was posed to me, do I think it's right? Obviously, no action by anyone who holds a position related to the city, be it council, a commission, or board. I think council member Hart had said before that we're held to a higher standard, and I believe that, not a higher privilege. So pending an investigation of which I'm not party to, but having the, I almost want to say the facts as presented, I'm looking forward to knowing what the outcome is, but when you represent the city, you represent the city. So if your actions are counter to what would be considered appropriate or legal, then regardless of what your position is, you need to be held accountable. Thank you.
Are there any other council comments? Motion to adjourn by Councilman Hertzberg. Supported We are adjourned.